So at this point, I'm done with the casting. If I did make a mistake about the volume of my mold, there's not a ton of recourse for that. I would really just recommend re-pouring your mold, because plaster to plaster, it'll bind sort of, but then you'll be carving down to your surface, and that impact, that carving impact, is going to shear the two cast blocks, just one from the other, right where you cast them on top of each other. So instead of extending the block, you made like a perforation between the two, and it's heartbreaking. So I'd recommend, instead of trying to pour more, to just pour another. Plaster is very, very cheap. I'm not saying waste it, but I am saying if you have a problem or you have an incorrect mix the first time, that's fine. Pour another block, throw the first one away, use it for practice, whatever you gotta do. At this point, my plaster should be just chilling. It'll be about a half hour before it's solid, and about 24 hours before it's cured. So the important thing, the difference between cure and dry, is that a chemical process is taking place. It won't speed it up to point a fan at it. It's not drying, it's curing. That chemical process is exothermic, and that is exactly, among other reasons, why we don't cast our body parts into plaster blocks. So if I did want to cut a mold of my body part, I would not use plaster to do that. I would chemically burn my skin. I would also have to chip my hand out of a block. So super bad way of making body casts. Do not cast your body in this block. So in about a half hour, I can come back, take my cottles off, clean them off, put them back under the table, take my block with me, and I can start working with it at that point. It's wet, it's softer. That's a benefit for some processes and a detriment to others. So the wetter, the more it's like clay, the drier, the more it's like stone. Wet will permit clay tools, wire loop tools, to move through the plaster with much more ease. Of course, it is much harder than clay. But once it's dry, it can take a polish. So you can sand, you can buff, you can get a really nice surface once it's dry that you cannot get while it's wet. So I encourage you guys to think about what kind of surfaces you want on these things. So I'm gonna just pause and then come back when this is set up. I'm gonna clean up my station. There's no reason for me to leave both my mold setting up and my stuff all over the place. So I'm gonna put the mold set back in the cabinet, the clay back under the tables, my bucket back in the office, on and on. See you in a moment. Oh.